Hello, and thank you all for attending our BusinessObjects 2025 Olympic Relay event. The session is being recorded, and you will have access to the slides and the full recording via an email link that you will receive later today or tomorrow. At the conclusion of the event, we will also have 3 survey questions so you can provide us some feedback on how we did today. The demand for today's seminar was really strong and is encouraging us to hold more of these event sessions down the road. With the information that we will be covering today, you can see that we will have many topics to choose from that would be worth covering in more detail in future events. I have to take this time to thank several people. It's been great to work with my colleagues at Datasense Solutions. It's been great to work with Alan Pym and his team at APOS, and with Jerome Mallard and his team at Need4Viz to coordinate the content of this material for today's event. I have known and worked with Alan Pym at APOS and Dallas Marks at Need4Viz for over 25 years, dating back to my days working at BusinessObjects, and now for many years as joint SAP partners. As many of you know, the BusinessObjects community has a great history of working well together and a great job of supporting each other. We are all very excited to see what SAP's recent announcements that are focused on the renewed commitment and increased investments in the BusinessObjects product. The agenda we have today is really great. I'll start off with a 20-minute overview of understanding the new BusinessObjects roadmap and highlights of the BI 2025 announcement. Alan Golden from APOS will walk us through the key steps to help you successfully get to BI 2025, followed up with Michael Trickey and Dallas Marks that will walk you through how to enhance and improve and extend the value of your web intelligence reporting environment. We also have some time reserved for question and answers and a discussion session toward the end of the presentation. If you have any questions that come up during the presentation, please enter them into the question window on the GoToMeeting panel, and we will address some of them during the presentation if possible, and we will get to all of them at the conclusion of the presentation. It was really great to be looking at the registration list for today and see many familiar names, but it's especially nice to meet so many new people today on the forum. For those of you not familiar with Datasense Solutions, we are one of the original BusinessObjects partners that still remains as an active SAP partner focused on BusinessObjects, Data Integrator, SAP Analytics Cloud, and many other business intelligence and analytical solutions. Our highly skilled consultants provide long and short-term consulting services that help many clients select, implement, support, and improve new and existing BI deployments or those transitioning from one tool or platform to another. As we were planning this event, we started to leverage the Olympic theme, knowing that the event was going to start soon, and we also started talking about how we can do this presentation as a relay, by handing the presentations off to each other as the presentation goes along. We all thought that, passing a baton between a couple people can't be that complicated, but we realized that there's a lot of knowledge, teamwork, practice, and awareness, and consistency, and organization and experience that may go into these activities. When things get exciting, and there's a lot of activities going on, like as we're planning an upgrade, the upgrade seems simple, but with so many other things surrounding us, things can get a little more complicated. And even things passing off a baton can get quite complicated. So, here are several runners, fumbling and dropping a baton, even in an event that should be such a simple task. So our goal today is to give you the knowledge and experience and understanding to get you to where you want to be with an easy transition to BI 2025. So let's take a look at the current published roadmap for BusinessObjects so you can use this information to better understand where you are and help you determine what your next move may be. For those of you that are still on 4.2, I assume you're well aware that mainstream support for that platform ended in December of 2022, but you're now receiving what's considered Priority 1 support from SAP. Priority 1 support means that they will still support you, but only provide assistance if the problem that you have identified has already been solved. If there's a problem that you're experiencing that has not been solved, getting support will require that you claim that you're having a mission-critical event that's adversely affecting the operations of your company, or else you'll be encouraged to move to a release that is currently being supported. So for those of you on 4.3, you know that end of mainstream support is happening at the end of 2025, and priority support will be provided for 2 years after that. But what we're all here today to talk about is really the announcement of BI 2025 being planned for the Q4 of 2024, and that being supported in a little bit of a different strategy than current versions. The development team for BusinessObjects is moving away from yearly, predictable kind of support packs to only announcing patches and fixes to bugs and things that have been identified as issues with the product, and then they're going to be releasing what they're calling a minor release every 2 years. So they've already released BI 2025, and then they've committed to 24 months later releasing BI 2027 with extended P1 support out through and beyond 2030. So pretty much the same graphical representation here, except helping us identify that the BI 2025 platform is being built on the same main code base that has been supporting the 4.x version. So 4.2, 4.3, the same main code line is being leveraged and moving forward for BI 2025. So that's going to make upgrading and migrations to this platform fairly manageable and easy for organizations to accomplish. This picture is also showing that the same code line for 4.3 up through Service Pack 4 is what's being deployed in the SAP Private Cloud Edition, and they plan on going straight to BI 2025 to the Private Cloud Edition and not implementing SP5. There's a little note here that SP5 is primarily only for clients that are heavily using Crystal Reports for Enterprise. And so if you're not using Crystal Reports for Enterprise, you on-premise never need to install SP5. I should mention also at the note on the bottom of this that all the information that we're reviewing today is what's currently available from SAP and is subject to possible change at any time. This side just kind of summarizes what we just discussed pictorially. The versions that are coming, BI 2025 and BI 2027, and that extended support through 2031. The main focus for BI 2025 is going to be increase the investments in the core, most adopted tools of Web Intelligence, Crystal Reports, SAP Analysis for Office, Lumira Designer, and the BI platform itself. What we'll see in this slide is the current platform and then the transition to the BI 2025 and BI 2027 environment. What you'll notice is that several products are being deprecated, and to highlight those, Lumira Discovery, Crystal Reports for Enterprise, Analysis for OLAP, Live Office, the Universe Design Tool, the UNV universe structure, and the multi-source universes are being discontinued. So what we're going to take a look on in the next slide. So if you are using one of those tools, you have until about, worst case, the end of 2027 to figure out what your migration strategy is going to be to eliminate the dependency on those tools. And what I have in the next slide is kind of the recommended alternatives for those environments. So if you need to replace your usage of Lumira Discovery or Analysis for OLAP, your migration strategy is going to include some of the capabilities available in the SAP Analytics Cloud. If you deploy Crystal Reports for Enterprise, you will be rebuilding many of your reports in either Crystal Reports client or in the Web Intelligence environment. Live Office functionality will be replaced by leveraging the capabilities of SAP Analysis for Microsoft Office or leveraging the new OData access capabilities available since 4.3 SP2. For many of the live office applications that we've been involved with, the OData option will be a great alternative and a fairly smooth transition for you. If you've deployed BusinessObjects Mobile, you can simply access the new environment from a web browser on a mobile device and have a great mobile viewing experience. All UNV universes will need to at some point be converted to UNX format, and you will need to be using the new information design tool rather than universe design tool. Many clients that we work with have already begun that process of converting their UNVs to UNXs, and it's been a pretty smooth process. Although in many cases it's been time consuming, but a process that you can manage. The last issue that needs to be resolved is only used by a small number of our clients, but that is those that have multi-source universes. Going forward, you'll need to leverage the capabilities of the data blending tool, which is already available in 4.3, to accomplish the same merging of data. And then you could build a single source universe against that new merged data set to support your reporting needs going forward. Links on the rightmost part of this slide will be available in the PDF that gets sent out. And those are links to some blogs that we find very helpful to help clients navigate the changes that are coming down for the products that are being discontinued. The other thing worth noting is that preferred operating systems going forward are going to be Windows and Linux, and the AIX and Solaris platform are being deprecated going forward in the new version. So when SAP now talks about BI 2025, it's exciting to see the three main areas driving their innovation. The three main use cases that they leverage, that they speak about mostly, are one, the ability to reach more business users, two, to increase the power users' productivity, and three, to reduce the total cost of ownership of the environment. Let's explore how each of these is being accomplished in the following slides. So let's begin by looking at some of the improvements to web intelligence. Engaging users with more dynamic visualizations and specialized elements, a new dashboard creation space that will allow for the creation of flexible dashboards that better support mobile devices and a variety of different screen formats. It includes an expanded range of chart types, specialized maps, and exploratory widgets. It will redefine interactivity for reporting and dashboarding with new graphical user interfaces based on the SAP UI5. For those not familiar with SAP UI5, it's SAP's user interface for HTML5, and it's the new framework that they're using to create some synergy across many other different products. And so it's going to make BusinessObjects package much more user-friendly, usable, and mobile-friendly as well. So also expanding user access with a new offline environment delivery format for reporting. Currently, they're calling this the Web Intelligence Offline Artifact. Some people are talking about a new name, but no one's releasing what that new name may be. This will provide access to all your data in an interactive format, including charts and filters and other display navigation techniques, even when you're disconnected from the BI platform. This allows for a cheap or free, effortless report distribution to get reports out to a wider range of users. So lastly, for the web intelligence, we're trying to enhance the efficiency with a simplified report creation process by providing enhanced formatting options, prioritizing some of the commonly used features, and minimizing clicks and simplifying navigation, improving the scripting, and enhancing some of the formatting and customization options. These are mostly targeted for the report developers or some of the advanced users that are building in some sophisticated navigation into their reports. So all these are summarized, some of the new features that I just went over. Several of them have already been delivered and available in different service packs for 4.3, whether it's some of them were in SP2, some in SP3, and a couple of them are now in SP4. The largest one are some new and improved chart types, a couple of new controls on some of the on-screen navigation options. And the biggest one is the data preparation area, where you can then manipulate the data that's coming back into the microcubes behind the queries and enhance the data after it actually comes back from the database. We won't go through all these other ones. You can look at these down the road, but some of these other features are planned for BI 2025, and some of the options for BI 2027 are already being discussed. As far as the platform goes, improvements to that will help simplify the migration and upgrading process. Some of you that have gone through some of the major upgrades know that they're time consuming and they require some manual kind of configuration changes. They're looking to improve the process throughout that migration effort by preserving some of the application settings and server settings from version to version. The next few things I'm going to talk about is the authentication. They've been strong, but they're continually getting stronger. Setting some of them up, creating all the parameters, and working with the security protocols behind the scenes has been challenging. So those are definitely going to improve going forward. Increasing the ability to do single sign-on and single connectivity and security all the way through back to the database. The BI platform will be improving in its performance. Some of you know that logging into the Launchpad is sometimes a little sluggish. They're completely redoing, I guess, the query process that the platform goes through to the CMS, which will speed things up. And that's also going to enable these new benefits, and that is the ability to create alerts and display KPIs and display metrics directly onto the Launchpad user interface. So that's going to be a huge improvement in performance and just usability to a larger group of users. So to summarize the BI platform enhancements, again, some of these have already been delivered in 4.3 environments up through SP4, and then some of them are coming still in BI 2025. A couple more slides on the Crystal Reports enhancements. Many of these are focused on folks that are coming from Crystal Reports for Enterprise. So Crystal Reports for Enterprise is really powerful at accessing some data sources, including BW. So some of these are now improving Crystal Reports so they have better access to the BW data with better improved field mapping, better support for hierarchies, better interactive prompting, and what am I going to say, value-based prompting. So a lot of enhancements for those reasons. And then a much more streamlined query panel, more in line with what Web Intelligence was doing. Improving Crystal Reports access to the UNX because it never had it, and working on discontinuing it from accessing the UNVs. Improvements in the Crystal Reports SDK to bring it up to standard with the SDK's ability for Web Intelligence, and better support for the desktop viewer. Crystal Report always had a desktop viewer, but it did not provide all the features and functionality of at least the new offline artifact, and so the performance and the capabilities of the Crystal Reports viewer is being improved. So here's a summary of those enhancements. A few of them have been delivered if you're already on Crystal Reports 2020, but many more are coming with Service Pack 5 and also with the BI 2025 platform. So that concludes my portion of the presentation. I am going to hopefully simply and successfully pass the baton off to Alan Golden, who will continue on the agenda for this afternoon. Thank you all again.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks very much, Gary. Yeah, so today, my name is Alan Golding, Solution Consulting Manager at APOS Systems, and we're going to talk about today some of the finer details about the road ahead for Business Objects and how you can maximize the success of your migration path as we move forward. Just to kind of recap on the path ahead for Business Objects, I mean, a few years ago, we were sitting here at APOS worrying about, you know, what is the road ahead for Business Objects. It looked like at what stage of SAP we're going to be potentially deprecating it. And here we are in 2024 with a very clear and strong roadmap for Business Objects, which is great. And we think that many, many customers are very enthusiastic about it as well. Just some highlights here, as Gary had mentioned, we have Business Objects 4.3 Service Pack 4 on the left-hand side, which was released in Q4 2023. Then we have SAP BI 2025 being released later this year, and then a new Service Pack for 4.3. Then we have SAP BI 2027, and further into the future, you can't really see it there, but we suspect it's going to be SAP BI 2029. So today I'm going to focus on how we can help you get to BI 2025 and what are the best steps forward in order to get there. So, you know, talking about the Olympics in Paris, we kind of have a theme here, and we want to talk about winning the race to BI 2025. Not that it's a race with your peers and your colleagues, but it's more about finding the finite steps and getting the steps correct as you move forward with your BI platform. So here's some of the recommendations that we say in order to help you maximize the success of your path forward, whether it's from 4.2 to 4.3 or 4.3 to BI 2025. So the first one here is take stock of what you have. We want to assess and action unsupported content, which Gary touched on. Right-size your system content. Upgrade your platform to version 4.3 if you're not already there. Upgrade your universes to UNX if you're not already there. And automate efficient management as you move forward. So we're going to get into these steps a little bit more detail. So the first one, take stock of what you have. What does that mean? Well, it means to have some transparency and visibility into what is the makeup of your Business Objects environment. Most organizations don't have a clear enough view of what that is. They rely on tools like you know, the BI client tools for maybe trying to read from the CMS database or the audit database. It can be very difficult for organizations to really have a clear understanding of what is inside of their Business Objects environment today. So things you want to be able to establish are inventory of your reports, your universes, user groups, instances, schedules, your security. Taking stock of all of this really gives you a good grasp of what the makeup of your BI environment is today, which will ultimately help you move forward and have a more successful migration. Assessing and action unsupported content. So Gary touched on this, where we are looking at components that you may have already been using the past few years that will be deprecated and what are the go-to solutions, how we can help maximize the success of that transition as well. Right-sizing your system content. So your Business Objects environment may be 2 or 3 years old. It could be 10 or 15 years old or more. Over time, you develop a significant amount of unused and unnecessary content, which we refer to as technical debt. It's simply just content that you are carrying with you into future versions of Business Objects that's simply not being used or unnecessary. So we want to be able to identify what that content is. If it's not used, if it's no longer valuable to the organization, or if it's unsupported, why are we continuing to maintain the storage, processing, and migration of this content? Upgrading to BI 4.3 is highly important. If you're not already there, you're probably thinking of it or planning for it already. You know, we see that mainstream maintenance is already expired for 4.2. And timeline for priority 1 support is expiring soon as well. So making sure you migrate to 4.3 should be a very high, critical step on your BI roadmap if you're currently on the 4.2 platform. Upgrading to UNX, as you see in BI 2025, UNV is deprecated. It's going to be single source UNX universes. So making sure that you have a successful migration, not only just from the universe perspective, but also the web intelligence reports. You could have 10 or 20 universes, but you could have thousands of reports. And repointing those to the UNX platform is highly important. Automate the efficient management of your BI environment. Many customers today do not have the resources they may have at one stage because of the diversity of your landscape. There's many different tools organizations are using today. So basis teams, business object administrators are having to do more with less. So the ability to be more efficient in the management of your BI environment is going to be highly critical. So how can APOS help? So we're going to get into some ways that APOS can help you in these initiatives as you move forward with your BI environment. So we'll first look at UNV deprecation. And the upgrade challenge here is that, we have UNV universes that were introduced in the early 90s. We have UNX that were involved or introduced in 2011 onwards. But we have customers that have vast amounts of business intelligence reports and heavily rely on these UNV universes. But because BI 2025 is no longer going to support UNV, moving to UNX is simply a must. So the requirement here is to, first of all, convert your UNV universes into UNX and then repoint the web intelligence reports from the UNV to the UNX, maintaining all of the schedules, the CUID, the IDs, the instances, so that nothing is getting changed other than the connection. The barrier to this is mainly that it's a heavy manual process. So whilst converting the UNV universes to UNX is not terribly detrimental, you can use the built-in tools to do that. However, repointing the Webby reports can be very tedious. You do it one at a time, and if you have thousands or hundreds of reports, this can be a very manual process. So the solution results, the desired results will be that we can automate these steps. And this is where APOS can help. We have a solution that will enable you to automate the adoption steps of the UNX platform. Just to give you some adoption considerations, so I talked about manual upgrade. Here's some time estimates based on customer feedback. So the manual conversion of a UNV to UNX universe is about 5 minutes per universe. Publishing the UNX, 2 minutes. Manually repointing the reports, 10 to 15 minutes. Validating the report to make sure that the report results are the same. We've seen before in the past, for example, migrating from 4.0 to 4.1, there was changes in the calculation engine, which meant the reports were no longer producing the same results. So there was a lot of trust lost in the migration path at that perspective. Publishing the repointed report, then 2 minutes. So if we looked at that, if you have 50 universes and 5,000 web intelligence reports based on those timelines, you're looking at about 200 to 280 days for one person to sit down and do that manual upgrade. If you have more than that, if you have 100 universes, 75,000 reports, you're looking at over 3,000 to 4,000 days for one person to sit down and do this manually. So as I mentioned, we have a solution that's called the APOS Web Intelligence Migrator. It simply allows you to convert the universes in bulk and, more importantly, repoint the Webby reports from UNV to universes, UNX universes, retaining the CUID, the ID, the instances, the schedules, whilst validating the content, making sure that there's going to be no differences in data types or data values, and having that happen in a very automated way. Here are just some screenshots of the application itself. So we're just searching for content we wish to migrate. So I'm searching for Webby reports. We can search by universe location, by folder location, by ownership. We have many different ways we can search for the content that you wish to manage and migrate. Here then we have a three-step process. So we process the reports, we make a copy of them, so we're not touching anything on the original report. We then repoint the copied report to the UNX, and then we do validation between the two. So we validate the original report pointing to the UNV and the newly copied report pointing to the UNX to make sure data types and outputs and values are the same. And then the final step is to make the change to the original report. So committing that migration to the original report, retaining everything else on the report. Okay, streamlining system content. So most business objects environments have significant growth. We already discussed this. It's very common for this content to become outdated, unused, or no longer relevant. So this is the technical debt that we talked about. So we want to identify and remove that unnecessary system content. So the requirement here is simply to find where that content is. So how do we measure that? For example, let's take a report. How do we measure that it's unused? Well, it could be a number of factors. Is it based off of whether it's been updated, modified, refreshed, viewed on demand, etc.? We can measure a number of different ways how we identify unused content. The same thing for users. When did users last log in? Was it 3 or 4 years ago? Is this user really needed in our environment? So the barrier here again is that it's a very manual action, but there's also poor visibility. I talked about the CMS database and the audit database. The ability to be able to easily find this information and target this information can be difficult with the built-in tools that are there. So, the desired result is that we have this automated. We want a very easy and automated way to find this content that's unused, it's unnecessary. We don't need to bring this forward into our 4.3 platform, into our BI 2025 platform. We can safely identify this content's not needed and we can remove it. So the APOS Insight solution can help with this. So on the left-hand side is your business objects environment, your content, your reports, your universes, your users, your security, and on the right-hand side is our insight processes. Basically what we do here is we read through the Business Objects SDK, through the CMS database, through the audit database, we scan and analyze the metadata about your environment and we extract everything into a single repository that's easily reportable off of, very easy to find information, very easy to understand what you're looking at. The output of that is we provide you with over 60 reports that give you things like usage analysis, impact analysis. So if I make a change to a database, how is it going to impact my universe? How is it going to impact my report? User analysis, security analysis. We give you a lot of introspective into finding that unnecessary content so that you don't have to bring that forward with you to your future migrations. On top of that, the same solution can provide automated system cleanup. So now we've identified that unused content, that unnecessary content. What do we do with it? Well, we can take it out of Business Objects, back it up to a safe location so that it's there to be restored at any given point in time. We can do very selective restores down to a particular instance or report. But essentially here we want to take it out of Business Objects, free up resources, free up performance, free up that clutter that's being carried forward through the years. This is just some example of numbers we did with a customer, this particular process. So before this particular automated cleanup, they had over 1,200 reports, they had 150,000 instances, 45 universes, 750 users, 65 groups, and so on. So you can see here the before and after. Overall, they were able to reduce their content by over 50%, which really cleared up resources, not only from a licensing perspective, from a content perspective, but also from a resources perspective in terms of the amount of CPU and RAM that was needed to process all of the content inside their BI environment. The upgrade steps. So we talked about how we upgrade. How can we help automate that? So again, the challenge here is that upgrading can be time consuming. We have project timelines, we have limited resources, we have competing priorities with other platform tools, and also human error as well. There can be oversights, there can be execution mistakes. These are all issues that many of us deal with when it comes to upgrading business objects. So the requirement here is to automate that as much as possible, reducing the amount of time it takes to migrate, reducing those errors, and allowing resources for users to be able to prioritize other things while the automation of the migration happens. The barrier to this is, again, it's very time consuming, it's repetitive. You need to maintain system functionality, performance, accuracy, user trust, process governance. These are all necessary for a fully successful migration, but these are obligatory throughout the migration process. So here we want to be able to automate the rebuild and maintenance of your security, your preferences, your settings, automate the migration of the actual physical content, right? If you're not doing an in-place migration and you have two separate environments, you want to automate the migration of all your reports, your universes, your instances. You also need to automate the report testing and the validation. These are all things that APOS can help with. So just to talk a little bit then about the migration execution. So we can help you rebuild and maintain your system security, your system schedules, updating and managing your Delta reports, auditing your source and target systems and comparing the results, completing target system inventory, making sure all of the necessary and relevant content is present in your migrated environment, validating that report data, making sure that nothing has changed before and after an upgrade is complete, whilst maintaining and ensuring your report performance and your overall system performance as well. So this validation tool, just to show you on the bottom left here, we have two separate business objects environments. So one might be a 4.2, the other might be a 4.3, one might be 4.3 and the other be a 2025. So we want to be able to provide a way to validate the content between those two environments in an automated way, in a very simplistic way, and give you the results that you need. If we come across problems where we find one report has value X and one report has value Y, meaning that there are differences in the actual values, even though they're the same report, but they're on two different versions of business objects, we can report off of that and identify those issue areas, help you identify what needs to be done in order to make those reports working successful. So just to highlight some of the solutions we talked about today, APOS Insight, your top left, for system auditing, system monitoring, query surveillance, report testing. The administrator tool on the top right is more all about efficient management. So automating the management and maintenance of your BI environment, your schedules, your reports, your universes, all those changes can be made in bulk. The bottom left, storage center, the ability to easily back up and restore. We have a publication solution, and then on the bottom right, Web Intelligence Migrator. We do offer a freemium upgrade for the Web Migrator tool, so if you wanted to try that out risk-free on your own environment, we can certainly help you with that as well. For those of you moving or already in the SAP Analytics Cloud space, we do have other solutions that can help you there also. Publisher for Cloud, it's a fully enterprise-level bursting and broadcasting solution for Analytics Cloud content. APOS Data Gateway offering live connectivity, import connectivity, and export connectivity from the Analytics Cloud platform. So that's about all for me today. I appreciate your patience while I went through that content. As mentioned, we have a question panel here as well. Any questions about anything any of us are going over today, feel free to input those questions and we'll get to those right to the end.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alan. If this were a relay race, you and Gary would be giving me a very sizable lead, so we really appreciate that. My name is Michael Trickey. I am with Need for Biz, and this is our portion of the presentation, the webinar, or the third leg. And joining me today is Dallas Marks. He is our sales engineer. I'm going to be doing a quick presentation on our company as well as kind of a rundown on our product, key product N4B for Webby. And then Dallas is going to end it with kind of a live example of our solution, how it works after you're able to export our interactive components into HTML. for distribution to other areas. But with that, I'll get the show on the road. And as Alan mentioned, if anybody has any questions whatsoever, feel free to utilize the chat function to put them down, and we'll address them at the end of these webinars. So who are we with Need4Biz? Well, we're experts in data analysis and visualization and distribution of your data, all within the SAP Business Object environment. We're an SAP partner company, and we've created N4V for Webby. This is a solution that is fast and for you, and we're an add-on solution within SAP Webby. There's no code, just plug and play, and we're part of the business object environment. We're just an add-on right into it. We offer over 60 different widgets, and we're actually going to be adding 2 more per year with major releases. And we offer a 4-in-1 solution. That means we're going to enhance your data visualization with 60-plus components. We work within cartography for both online and offline mapping, but more importantly, we allow you to integrate your own customized mapping. So we're making the available, unavailable, available. Not only that, we offer data analysis, enhance your data analysis through a very powerful and resourceful component, which we'll be going over, called the Data Analyzer. And all the data analysis that you make within the business object environment, you can make available outside the environment through our HTML export capabilities. And not only that, we're a quick win. You can utilize us and get us uploaded to your platform right away and start utilizing us. We save time. It takes very little time to get connected to us as far as the training, installation, and time to start making reports. We save costs, as I mentioned, with licensing, infrastructure and training. Licensing, we save you money in regards to dissemination of data, and we'll go through that in a little bit. Infrastructure, you can utilize the same type of server that you house your business object on to put us on. And training, odds are if you know Webby, you're going to know how to utilize N4V for Webby. On average, it takes maybe the average person about a half day to learn our solution. And not only that, we're also compliant with digital sustainability. At the end of the day, what we're doing is we're making business objects, we're adding power to BO. And with that, I just want to kind of go through the 4-in-1 solution that we offer. Now, what we do is we really enhance your data visualization through 60-plus components. With our online and offline mapping, we give you the ability to work within Google Maps as well as OpenStreetMaps, but more importantly, allow you to add in your own customized mapping. And the Data Analyzer, as I mentioned before, is a very powerful, resourceful component that will allow you to do many things that you wouldn't be able to do with Webby alone. So we're making the impossible possible within Webby, and all the data analysis that you create within the business object environment, you can make available outside the business object environment through dynamic sharing of Webby reports. Now, what we're doing is we're increasing the Webby experience. We're taking a good product within business object, and we're making it better. And we're doing this through data analysis. As I mentioned before, we can help you in analyzing your data deeply with fluidity and agility through our data analyzer. This is a very essential component that allows you to do a lot of things that you couldn't do before with a spreadsheet with Webby, such as making intuitive calculations, synchronizing your data with charts and table, adding and subtracting information on the fly, but also allowing you to export your data with full interactive capabilities through our HTML capabilities. Also, we allow you to create modern-looking dashboards. We do this by making the dashboard creation more simpler, fun, and more productive by combining multiple different graphical components and maps to create an all-encompassing overview of any organization. And we're doing this through the interaction and exploration of data. Now, as you take a look here, we allow you to do everything within one report. There's no need to add on different tabs to different report. You can be able to drill down on specific data sets that you want to be able to view. As you can see, you go from one report to another, all within the same report page. Just eliminating any type of confusion you might experience from going back and forth, as well as frustration. But we're making this more simpler. We're making this more fun. We're making this more enjoyable, not only for the developer, but also for the user. And also we add amazing navigational components that allow you to put up different data sets within the same dashboard, as you can see here. Just click on the data component, and a pop-up window comes. We call it the data mode. It allows you to search for different data sets, all within the comfort of the same reports. We're providing a tremendous amount of ease of use within Webby to really turn Webby into a dashboard. As you can see here, we're going to different data sets very quickly, drilling down and just making the Webby experience just much more easier and fun for the users. In addition, geomapping. We allow you to use Google Maps here, as you can see here, to be able to pull down and search for key specific data, in this case landmarks, all by staying on the same map. There's no going back and forth. As you can see here, this is just a simple illustration of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame within Cleveland, New York. And then you can just go back and be able to scroll back out and look for other data sets within the country. And lastly, I want to talk to you a little bit about our HTML export. Now, if you can take a look at the top of this report, you can see a little web bar. That is the address for this report. And as you can see, this has the interactive capabilities as it would within the business object environment. So that's important. We allow you full interactivity for the interaction, exploration, navigation, the ability to drill down and find specific data sets that you're looking, all from this very easy to use HTML export link that can be added on to closed networks, open networks, but also more importantly, your PowerPoint presentations. So at the end of the day, what we are doing is we are helping increase the Webby experience, going from good to better. As you can see here, we are really allowing and providing more power to business objects. And at the end of the day, we are Power BO. And with that, what I'd like to be able to do is hand off our portion of the presentation on the Bell Lab here to Dallas Mark, who's going to be going through a live demo of how our HTML reports, our interactive components, can work within the HTML exporting capability environment. And with that, Dallas, please take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Michael. So as you can see on your screen here, we've got a bookmark here that you can use to check out the demo that I'll be showing you today. So definitely bookmark that, and you can see what's going on. So the bookmark will take you to a screen here, and we've in keeping with the Olympic theme, we want to begin by showing you what Web Intelligence is capable of, and many of you have probably seen the Rio 2016 presentation, the sample content that SAP provides. I'm going to show you what Rio looks like in just basic Web Intelligence, and then I'm also going to show you how your typical Webby reports can be extended using our components. And so remember, they're not just visualization components. There's also interaction components and mapping components as well. So I'm going to show you our product using the most recent Tokyo 2020 Olympics. And in just a few days, you might have seen in the news that the Olympic torch is currently making its way through Paris. And so you'll definitely want to be coming back in the next few days and weeks, because we're going to allow you to slice and dice through the Paris 2024 results in real time using Need4Viz. Fun fact, the Web Intelligence product from SAP is actually developed in Paris, France, and as well as the Need4Viz team is located in Paris, France as well. So with that, I want to take you into the Rio 2016 data quickly. And so this is the sample reports that SAP put together. And so you can see that they're showing you how to use images. They're showing you how to use sections. They've added some input controls to this report. So all standard web intelligence functionality. And by going to different reports, you can see different views of the Rio Olympic data. All right. Well, let's see what we can do by sharing the same data through Need4Viz. And so this is the Olympics data using Need4Viz components. And so what you can see here is not just in the Webby interface, this is our HTML5 export. So this is something that a user could interact with within the BI Launchpad. This could also be something, as Michael mentioned, that you could put out on a private or a public, an intranet, an extranet, some kind of solution like that. And so the interactivity is actually built into the dashboard itself. So that's a little different from how a standard input control behaves. So you can see here that I have the ability to look at the Olympic results through different continents, and I also have the ability to filter down on particular sports that I want to see the results of. And we also have a reset control. So as a user has done some exploration and some data analysis, they can go back to the beginning, so to speak, and start over with a new train of thought. So let's take a look here at the components that we have. Again, Michael says we have over 60 components, so I'm not going to show you 60 components today. I'm going to focus on 4 of them. And so we have in the left top corner, we have our HTML filtered table. And with that, we can not only see the data set and the breakdown of Olympic medals, but we can also interact and, for example, we can filter down to certain countries or to certain numbers of gold medals. So down on the bottom left, we have what we call our pictorial stack component. And there are a number of different visualizations that you can use out of the box. You can also bring in visualizations that you have in SVG format, and so you can extend this. So this is the built-in male and female, and so you can see we've got a summary of some of the results. And so these are not only just static images, these are dynamic controls. So just like with the table, I'm able to filter out and focus on different athletes, for example, and you can see all of that is happening in real time. One of the things I want to say about our HTML5 export, one, it is HTML5, and so that means whether you're on your desktop or on your mobile device, again, whether you're inside the firewall of your company or even outside, anywhere HTML5 can go, Need4Viz can go. All right, and then over on the right-hand side, we have our fixed column placement. And so once again, we've got a gender breakdown of the Olympic results by country here. And we can focus just on the results of the women athletes or the men athletes as we care to. And up in the top right corner is our new web map line component. And so this was just introduced this month in our 2024.2 release. And as Michael indicated, our product's updated quarterly. And so it has a history, which is why we have up to 60 components today. But those components are over time going to receive incremental updates and new features that will also introduce new components. And so this web map line is an example of a new component. And so it allows you to work with geographic maps. It also allows you to bring in a map of your own choosing. So we've just got a Google map here. And so we're showing the Olympic results by color. And we can also interact and see the different results. And you might be saying to yourself, it can be a little challenging to see all these components together. And that's why, just like with Web Intelligence, you have the ability to go into a full screen view. And so now in full screen view, if I want to compare, for example, the metal breakdown for the United States, say, and compare that with the metal breakdown for France, I can do that. I can bring up as many countries as I like, but I can see an additional level of detail without having to leave the map. And of course, I can go back. I can go back to the full dashboard. So that's Rio, and so that's what we can do, enhancing the capabilities of a standard web intelligence report. And I'd also like to show you what we've done for the Tokyo Games. So unlike the Rio data, which is static, we have built a live data model for the Tokyo data, and we'll actually be updating our data model later this month with actual results from the Paris 2024 Olympics. And so you'll be able to check in and check in on your favorite sports and favorite countries. So this is the report inside of Web Intelligence. And so I can be in reading mode and interact. I can also interact if I go into design mode and my session is expired because we've been at this. All right, bear with me one moment. I'm going to go open up one of my favorites. Okay, and so you might notice a little bit of latency here. Some of that is internet. Some of that is also just because this is a live business object system. But nonetheless, here is our Tokyo data, and we've got the exact same components that we're using with the Rio games. So you can see that. This can be published to HTML5 as well. Again, that means it can be deployed anywhere. And one of the benefits of the HTML5 is that it can be instantly updated. And so I'm going to go back into design mode and make a couple of changes. And we'll see those changes reflected immediately in the HTML. The other thing that's important to note about our HTML export is the data from your database is actually embedded in our HTML5. And so what that means is imagine that you have executive users on an extranet. As they're interacting with the HTML export, there's no database access. There's no latency because we've already brought the data from the Web Intelligence document into the HTML export. Okay. So I'm going to go back to into design mode, and I'm going to go into our new web map line component, and if I can right-click, I'm going to go into formatting the custom element. So you can see that formatting a custom element is almost the same as formatting a standard Web Intelligence attribute. So I'm going to go in here into my display settings, and you can't see it, but allow me to move my GoToMeeting panel. So I'm going to go into extended parameters. Okay, so right click, format custom element, extended parameters, and from there I'm going to go into the global settings. And so one of the changes I'm going to make here, so notice right now the United States is red, and Australia is yellow, and Russia is green. That's because we're using the built-in Webby palette. And just to show the dynamic capabilities of our HTML5, I'm going to switch to a different color palette, one of our built-in Need for Viz palettes. Okay, and the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add some interactivity. So I'm going to go into menu, and I'm going to add the table data button. Okay, so I'm satisfied with the changes that I've made. So I'm going to save my Web Intelligence document. And just by the act of saving the Web Intelligence document, I've updated the HTML automatically. And so if I go refresh my HTML5 export, we can see, interesting. I'm going to go back to here. Allow me to go in. And okay. All right, so just having a minor technical difficulty here. And this is a live demo, folks. And so that's proof of that. So what you should normally see for not doing a demo is you would see the new palette that I picked from Web Intelligence, and you would also see the table button. And the table button for this particular component adds the ability to view the data in a tabular format. And so I apologize, not able to share that with you. So Jerome and Emmanuel are looking into this as we speak, so we may come back to that. So, all right. So what have we learned here today? So we've seen in action that Need for Viz, it's not just providing an additional set of data visualizations. Now, that would be great in and of itself because the mapping capabilities, just to pick one example, go above and beyond really what Web Intelligence currently does out of the box. And in addition to the beautiful Google Maps, you know, if you're trying to do a map for a theme park or a shopping mall or something like that that's completely custom, that's something that that you can build as well. We also have navigation components. So input controls are great, but having interactive controls on the Webby report is even better. And we can wasn't able to show the table, but we can do data analysis. So many of these components offer interactivity. You can bring the data that's behind the visualization up in a table, and you can do analysis and filtering on that table. You can even export the table directly from the visualization. And all of these capabilities are accessed if you're a Web Intelligence user. They're part of standard Web Intelligence. And if you're not an HTML user, then I'm sorry, if you're not a Web Intelligence user, you don't need to be an HTML user. You can just be pointed to where our HTML is. All right, and thank you, Jerome. Jerome's provided me a link to the updated visualization. So you can see here that the palette that I changed is available. I can go into full screen view, so it's a little more obvious. So instead of the red and green, kind of has some soothing earth tones here. We also have a data table. And so, again, right from Web Intelligence, we're able to see the data. We don't need to rely on the Web Intelligence designer to necessarily provide us a table, although that's certainly possible. And from here you can see that if I want to take a look, I can see specifically how France is doing, for example, or I can look for a particular event like fencing. So Need4Viz really extends the capabilities of web intelligence. And if you go to our homepage at need4viz.com, you'll see that we have demo links both to 4.2. For those of you who are still on 4.2, our solution does work with it. Our solution works with 4.3, and it's also obviously going to be able to take you right into BI 25 and BI 2027 as well. So, so with that, I'd like to wrap up my demonstration, and I am going to send you back to Gary Bernstein. So Gary, can you see if there's any questions that are in the question queue, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you very much, Dallas. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. Yeah, all right. And I'm going to take back control, and I figured out how to share the results of the surveys that we took. So here are the results for those of you that can see the screen now. About 60% of folks are already on 4.3, and about 40% are still on something less, 4.2 and 4.1. So a little bit of work for some of those folks. And then the results of the other question. Plans to do so. There are several clients, and this makes sense with some of the ones that we're involved with are currently migrating to 4.3 with plans to do so in the future, and some are just going to stay on the version that they're on. A couple of questions have come through about the availability of BI 2025, and SAP still hasn't been more specific about the release date other than saying Q4. I've been hearing it's going to be a little bit toward the end of Q4, and that they are still looking for not necessarily beta customers, but literally customers who want to commit to going to BI 2025 as soon as possible, and those customers that want to take their live environment to BI 2025 we'll get some priority support from the SAP development team that's still working on BI 2025. And they're really looking for customers that want to be on that leading edge. Yeah, the other thing that's coming up is how do you get access to BI 2025? And if you're on standard maintenance and regular maintenance, you'll be able to upgrade to BI 2025 at free of charge with no real changes to licensing. So the concurrent licensing model, the named user licensing model, and what tools and features and functions you'll have access to will be the same for BI 2025 going forward. There was one question that just came in that I'm still reading.
The question is it possible to connect Webby to Snowflake?
Oh, as a data source? Yeah, that's definitely possible. Yeah, that's, I think, even been available already, but BI 2025 will certainly support that.
Yeah, there's a question here, Gary. I've heard Gregory Patricio from SAP on a previous webinar mention that for SAP BI 2025, you should install against a clean CMS database and then migrate the content from an existing system over. That's the recommendation over an in-place upgrade. But have not heard this confirmed or denied anywhere since. Can anybody on the call have any information on this?
Yeah, thanks for reading that. We have not installed an early release of BI 2025 either. Many times that's our approach, is to start with a clean installation and migrate content over that way, rather than doing an upgrade in place. That's been our kind of mode of operation with any of our complex client environments, rather than doing an upgrade in place. But we don't have any real world experience with BI 2025 to know if it's mandatory to do that or not. Anybody else on the presenting side?
Yeah, I think there's just so much unknown with BI 2025 yet that an in-place migration could be risky for no other reason that we just don't know how much different it's going to be from a 4.3 system, for example. So, if that's something that Gregory Baticho is recommending to do, then I think that's something that you should maybe consider.
Yeah, I can check with him directly to see what he says, and I've heard him speak several times, and I have not heard him mention that specifically, but I will try to clarify. On the GoToMeeting panel, you will see a section called Handouts. APOS does have a nice handout with some links directly to some helpful information. And I know the folks at APOS will send out a link to the recording for those that didn't attend or already attended but want to forward the information to somebody else.
Gary, just another question here as well. If all universes have migrated to .unix and all reports have been migrated as well, is the BI 2025 update basically a back-end update that is no universe or report changes?
Yeah, pretty much. And, we don't think any of the, in prior versions, calculation engine changes and other things like that, we don't think those are going to be a big issue. But obviously doing testing, is highly recommended. But yeah, nothing else. Your universes and reports will remain unchanged if you've already gone through that upgrading conversion process. Thanks for reading those. I'm having a hard time reading the long-winded questions at the same time as answering them.
Yeah, no problem. We did see, I think, about maybe 30%, 38% of people who are on 4.2. I know in previous webinars there's been questions, would the recommendation be to jump straight from 4.2 to BI 2025, or should the path be 4.2 to 4.3 and 4.3 to BI 2025?
I have heard Gregory mention that they are expected to support a direct migration path from 4.2 to BI 2025 and 4.3 to 2025. Initially, we've had enough issues come up with 4.2 to 4.3 kind of migrations. I mean, smaller ones, but for larger deployments, they kind of add up. So for us, it would be a good thing to get some of those out of the way, including cleaning up your universes, making sure you don't have any multi-source universes. So it's good, and getting your UNVs to UNXs. It's nice to do that in an environment where if you miss something, it is still supported. If you miss something and you're going all the way to BI 2025, those features are not supported, so you're really stuck in a bad place. So it's yet to be seen if they're going to officially support the 4.2 to BI 2025 upgrade, but they do plan on supporting that.
Yeah, this is not a question, just an additional comment from the audience, which is obviously appreciated. Most customers like to take advantage of upgrading their server OS and database versions as part of an upgrade to confirm with architecture standards to ensure that they are supported on technologies longer. So yeah, that's a great comment as well. Another question here. I think what they're asking here is the capabilities that are in SAC, will there be similar functionalities available in BI 2025? Well, we have seen the Launchpad go to HTML5, which is essentially what SAC is on, and we have definitely seen some similar looks and functionalities from the new Webby design compared to SAC. I don't know if it will be an apples to apples comparison. I don't know if you have any further input on that, Gary, as well, or anybody else.
I don't, but they, you know, with this recent announcements, that it's just good for them. It's good to see them reinvesting in business and in the BusinessObjects platform with the increased widgets and functionality. So some of those I can see are coming from the SAC, you know, development groups, and they continue to talk about the ability for SAC and on-premise, you know, BusinessObjects deployments working well together, leveraging the universes on-premise and things like that. But I do think there will be things done in SAC, whether it's predictive analytics and other things, that we will not see brought back to the desktop. That's, I think, the most detail I can provide at this point.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. All right, Alan, thanks for facilitating that.
No problem.
All right, that's it for questions. I don't know if anybody from Need for Viz or APOS want to conclude anything, but thank you all for attending. And we're going to monitor comments and emails with our client base to kind of come up with, you know, some key topics for some future presentations, and hopefully do this a little more often, and try to get back on our regular cadence with some, you know, helpful information. I like the whole something about data blending and those new features that are coming, that some of them are already in 4.3. And I know a lot of customers that are on 4.3 but haven't even started looking at and exploring some of the new features and elements that are there. They're still worried about, you know, completing their migrations and things like that. So if there's anything that comes to mind after this, you know, please shoot us all emails, and we'll keep track and prioritize those topics for future presentations. If nobody has anything else, I'm going to kind of wrap it up and close things out. But thank you all again for attending. Have a great day.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.